Standing here to the sizing bench or the main bench, depending on what school of sawmilling you came from. This thing here, the sizing block, is the most important thing here, and the man who operates it. When timber is delivered to the mill, it is measured in super feet, and you pay for every ounce of it. So when you come to milling it, you've got to get the maximum you can out of your milling to make a bit of money. So what we've got on this side is the money-making side. What goes over there goes in the boiler, and it still costs you money. So the man who's standing here, if he doesn't own the mill and he has a blue with the boss, let me tell you, he can turn the boss's day to absolute SH1T in a short manner of time. And of course, these mills fed thousands of families, because if you cast your mind back, all the houses were timber framed, the sewers under every city were timber lines, including Melbourne to this day still has some of its very early sewers which are still timber lined. There is a mill over at Daylesford that fires up every so often when they have a collapse in some of the big Melbourne sewers, which cuts the timber to go in them. They have all the angles and that so they can recut all the timbers. So there is still, I think, about 4.5 miles of sewer under Melbourne, which is all timber lined. So what you're looking at, as I say, is a typical bush mill. Skillion roof, and you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen, on a hot day, it's hot, and in the middle of winter in the Great Dividing Range and it's snowing and the wind's like it is, it's bloody cold. Driving the sawmill is a portable steam engine, pretty common, wood-fired, and you've got our portable here, and you'll hear it fire up as he's dropping a bit of rubber. Now you may wonder what he's doing there. Dropping a bit of rubber, or burning rubber on there, is dropping blobs, which turns to make it sticky, the belt sticky, which in turn helps it dry. It's a very old trick. You can buy belt stick in a pressure pack can nowadays, but that is a pretty traditional old way of trying to get belt stick. When he sets fire to the mill, we'll all evacuate. Look at that steady hand. Didn't have too many scotches last night. He's pretending not to listen too. So, as I say, this is typical of the mill that you would see in the bush, and there are thousands of them dotted through the Great Dividing Range. If you have a look through the Yarra Valley and Powtown, Newgee, right there we go. Pumps up. Onto the bench we go. There goes the cannon. Boy, there's a few people very nervous after that. Not good for the heart, is it? Oh dear. The timber we're cutting today, ladies and gentlemen, is pine, softwood. The reason we're cutting it today is because it allows you to come right up close to the bench. We were cutting hardwood. Hardwood will splinter and fly. So we're cutting softwood, which allows you to get as close as what you are. Normally in a hardwood mill, it's flying everywhere, and we wouldn't be able to do it. So we're cutting softwood. A lot of the wood that we cut here is used in restoration projects around the club ground, and we do cut hardwood here in the mill when we require hardwood as well. So the timber that we're cutting up doesn't go to waste. We actually use it. You can imagine standing out here working at 7 a.m. till 5:30 most days, long days. There it runs right through, you'll see it go over onto the trolley. The next cut from this will be the same. on a nice piece of timber, although you will be able to get some short lengths out of it. But that's the risk you take when a log comes into the yard. And you can notice that it's not quite right through. You can see it's about halfway through the thickness of the timber there. So we've got Ian Smith on the bench at the moment. Of course his father was the one who let the belt fly off before. He's now copping a lecture from Mum on that as well. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There is one of our premier displays here at Lake Goldsmith. And it's a great look back at a huge part of Australian history, the timber industry. People don't want to acknowledge that. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a great day here at Lake Goldsmith. Don't forget, plenty going on. 12:30 our boiler house tour. The sawmill will be running again at around 12 and then back again about 1. So plenty of demonstrations here, down here as well. Grand Parade at 2:15, plenty going on around the whole portions here at Lake Goldsmith, and we hope to see you coming back here for many years to come, and have a great day. demonstrate what it's all about. I'd like to give this lovely couple who come up from Geelong with their bicycle collection, and if you've not seen it, go to Myers, Delvers, you name it, and this, of course, has a huge part in Australian history, ladies and gentlemen. It was brought into the country to do a lot of the work, or the majority of the work, on the Murrumbidgee irrigation scheme. It then, when it finished its life up there, or the engines that were up there finished their life up there, They then were moved down and purchased by the MMBW, Melbourne Metropolitan Border Works, where they then put in all the channels and all the sewage system from Melbourne that went to Werribee. So the engine was one of 4 that was down there. The other pair for this one was buried on the farm, supposedly, the story goes, was cut up and buried on the farm. This one was retained, lived down there at the farm, and then Science Works Museum got hold of it, and then it came up here to Lake Goldsmith, where it's most probably been now for close to 15 years, I would say. It's been a long while, and we do, when we've had a pair of them here, we have used it out in the middle of the arena for ploughing. About 30 tonne, winding engine, ploughing engine. They pull the plough with cable out, the winch underneath. And if you have a look at this, some of the angles that it's been pulling on, you can see where the cable has been wearing through the front wheel, pulling on acute angles, which no doubt would have been when they were doing the channel work. And they're still in business today in Europe. They build trucks and all sorts of equipment, mainly in Europe. You don't see, there's a couple of Fodens still running around out here in Australia. This engine was owned by Alec Fraser, originally down at Yellowai, not far away from here. And the Scobies, after the late Alec died, he was purchased by the Scobies and they've restored it. And of course it's a bigger type engine, would have been used for doing heavy haulage work, pulling all sorts of things around. Councils would have had it, it could have been on a rock crusher, anything along those lines. In the early times, and then no doubt they have restored it to what you see today, and it is a magnificent engine. It's a heavy haulage unit, 3-speed. It will do about 18 mile an hour on the road and will pull very, very heavy loads. Notice that it's got a leaf spring arrangement in the front end to dampen the banging on the front end. And it was extensively used around Basie, as I say, Hamilton, right through to Mount Gambier and around that area. Pulling our people mover that we take around the countryside to different shows and pieces, advertising Lake Goldsmith. When they finished Basie Lady, they were bored, the Miles family, so they bought a Ruston in the same sort of condition, and they've rebuilt it and have it out here as well, so she's up and running, and it's progress. It got towed around as it was progressing along, this engine, for people who are regulars here, and lives here in Lake Goldsmith. The Ruston Proctor towing the Clyde Engineering Valley Dumper for doing road works, and this is the type of engine that a council or government agency would have had, pulling this sort of equipment round building roads, loaded in the top and is fed out the bottom through the valley as it drops it as it's being towed along. So that is a really traditional setup right there. Clyde Engineering, of course, Sydney, but it's still around today. They build trains and all sorts of things these days, Clyde Engineering, but started out up in New South Wales. 1912 that machine was roughly built. Cowley Road, anything at all, was all built in Ballarat and manufactured there for many, many years. So the Cowley roller, owned by one of our committee members, Mr. Smythe, Bill Smythe up there, and looking an absolute treat. It'd want to too, he's a sign writer. So he's got no excuse not to have it looking $1 million. Another 32 Cowley roller coming along here. And this one is owned by the Scobies. Out of the Scobie collection, who have got a great collection of engines down the bottom end here and have been coming here since dinosaurs roamed the earth. So they also do the thrashing display down the bottom end there and are very heavily involved in the club. So another Cowley roller running on by. Avelling Porter roller, John Frank, another local out of Beaufort, Lake Goldsmith area, the Frank's name. Been around a long time, beautifully turned out little Avelling Porter, a little bit smaller than our Cowley, but a very, very versatile little roller, towing the Furphy water cart, which would not be uncommon if they were travelling a distance, and also would have a living cart, because you didn't drive to and from to work every day when you were on one of these. if you were in the Shire, like the Pyrenees Shire, and you were working down the bottom end of the Shire, you'd be out there for the week. So you'd have your living van, your Furphy, and your machine all with you for the week. And of course, if you were half smart in the middle of winter, you always parked the roller right alongside the living hut where the wind was blowing across to keep a bit of warmth off the boiler. Tiny. Looks like a little traction engine, but originally it looked like the roller in front was a roller converted to a traction engine. And as I've said many, many times, after the Grand Parade here at Lake Goldsmith, we used to have a bit of fun with it before the fun police came along. We put Tiny up here, we put a rope behind it down to about, where that Alice Chalmers is. We get all the kids out and they'd have a tug of war against Tiny. So the kids would all start pulling on the rope and get over to about that angle there, and we put Tiny in gear and pull them back over there. It was quite funny, but apparently Slater and Gordon, Morris and Blackburn don't think so. So there we go. Clayton, steam wagon, been here a long time, owned by Eric Wolverson now, the late J.A. Norris, who was our long-term secretary here, who we've named our boss. We have another one of our Fodens coming up here, Mr. Bloom's Foden. And again, an engine that could have been used, would have been most probably brought into the country by a government body or a council or something along those lines. And you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen, these were all loaded on a sailing ship and brought out to Australia. But there was no email to order your machine from England. It could take up to 5 years from when you ordered the machine to when you received it. So a letter could take 9 to 12 months to make its way to England, be delivered to the work, then they would have to build it, then it would be another letter coming out to say it's ready to go, and then it would ship. So you could pay for the machine and wait up to 5 years. And can you imagine the logistics of loading that into the hull of a sailing ship at the time? So it would have been a huge thing. Victorious, another engine that belonged to John Norris, and this engine is featured in a lot of starting to get more modernised. We've got still chain drive, but we've got a sprung back in, but we've got hard rubber tyres. So this is really, really close to getting to be a more modern truck. Sold by William Adams, Sentinel, where the agents were William Adams. And William Adams today are still in business selling Caterpillar or Warp or anything like that. You can cover a fair amount of ground. You were killing horses, pulling and another Super Sentinel, a little bit earlier. Have a look here. We haven't got the steering box, but we're well on the way. Very, very similar. We've got. Oh, they're not little. They were a great load carrier, very robustly built. As you can see, as it shatters the wood, the grey Ferguson. Well, what a story, what a tractor. Harry Ferguson worked for Fordson, had an idea to build a system that was complete for farming, horticulture, and a fair bit of the industrial world as well. Henry Ford thought he was a complete nut, and he didn't work for Fordson any longer, so he went out and really in a backyard shed developed the grey Fergie. But what really set the Fergie apart was the hydraulics.